dependable source of nourishment, water. And the Bible continues to say that such a person will be like a tree whose leaves never wither and will always bring forth fruit in their season. So that's success there. That's achievement there. But what are the three things talked about that could prevent the person from being such a joy to God, the creator? The first one, it says, the person who does not walk in the counsel, in the advice of wicked people. I don't think I need to be a prophet to tell you that not everybody that gives you advice means well for you. Some people know exactly what they are telling you because they want to destroy, especially when you're vulnerable. Because whenever you're vulnerable, you tend to listen to anything. I remember not too long ago in one of the Western nations, I was visiting about a month ago. A friend and I were driving to a state, and he stopped, he pulled off the way, and he asked a gentleman who himself looked like a foreigner in that country, what's the direction to this place? And the man said, oh, you missed it. Just turn around, you see that exit, take that exit. And when we turned around, I said to my friend, are you sure this guy is not taking us for a ride? He said, I'm not sure. And when we got to that exit, of course, it was the wrong exit. And we stopped and we asked somebody else. He said, no, you have to go back and keep going straight. Then my friend said, I should have trusted my GPS. Sometimes, if you walk in wrong counsel, you will get into trouble. I think the medical people put it this way. There is diagnosis and prescription. And ladies and gentlemen, all prescription, I think, ought to come for proper diagnosis. If the diagnosis is wrong, the prescription certainly will be ineffective. And so he says we must not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. We must not stand in the way of sinners. Sometimes you can tell that people are mischievous, they're going to commit a crime, they are ganging up together to talk, small talk, and it's not really benefiting you. It would weigh you down, make you weary in your life. Sometimes you can see that you move away. The Bible calls that the way of sinners. And thirdly, it talks about the seat of the scornful. So it talks about sitting, standing, and walking. So it's you taking yourself, it's me taking myself into a situation, into an atmosphere, into a scenario that could change the coordinates of my life and take me from what God had intended for me to be into something really bad or less than the best. And so he says, once a person does not walk according to the counsel, the wisdom, the advice of ungodly people, because ungodly people will give you ungodly counsel, if you do not stand in the way of sinners, and if you don't sit at the seat of the scornful, where people just sit and they just talk anyhow, free range talk, no holds barred, and everything you see, hear, touch, taste, or smell affects you directly. So if you're not able to make that choice of changing your association, you will certainly not get into the full manifestation of the Lion King life or the Eagle King life. So when you have come to that realization, I think you need to be very careful. I would want to be very watchful as to who inputs my life, as to who deposits things into my life, as who shapes my mindset, because I was living the life of a lamb and a sheep. That life is good for sheep and lambs, but it's not good for a lion. It will be a tragedy for a lion to die like a chicken. I was living the life of a hen, even though I was an eagle, because somebody made me believe that I am earthly, I must scratch the earth for worms, eke out a living here and there, try and get a little job somewhere, try and do something small when I could be doing greater things. Now, when you have discovered that, there are three things I would want to suggest. The first one is that with every successful thing you do, you plan. The first one is that you plan. The second is that you strategize. And the third one is you manifest. A few months ago, I think on this program, I mentioned that a poll, a Gallup poll was done amongst the 100 wealthiest people in the world. as per documented wealth, because some people hide their wealth, truth be told. So the documented wealth in billions of the 100 richest people in the world, some were black, white, female, male, elderly, young, some as young as the 26-year-old Facebook guy. So you couldn't really find like a continuum and a commonality to use. But one thing they found as they asked them questions and they made them fill in this questionnaire, one thing that ran across them all as a thread was that they all planned. Some of them went as far as writing down their plans. Whenever you come into a new realization of who you are or what you can be, or something dawns on you, as they say in English, the penny drops and something just came alive and you said, aha, now I know, make sure you plan. Again, let me borrow from the Englishman. He who fails to plan has already planned to fail. If you fail to plan, by your failure, you have planned to fail. So the failure to plan is a planning in itself, but a negative planning. So you need to plan. That means you go down to your drawing board, to your iPad, to your notebook, to your computer, to your Galaxy Pad, whatever your tab, whatever you are using, and you start planning. It means some things would be at the top, some would be in the middle, some would be at the bottom. And in your planning, you are strategic minded. Okay? How am I going to make this transition from a lamb to a lion? How am I making the transition from the chicken life to the eagle life? Transitions do not necessarily occur overnight. Everything that we see that has had a lasting success was built upon by continuous, constant planning, preparation, and strategy. You must have a strategy. I must have a strategy. The planning is maybe the bigger form of the how. The strategy is the pointer how that will get you to manifest. So we must plan, we must strategize, and we must manifest. And ladies and gentlemen, in my understanding of God's dealing with man, as I read from my Bible every day, the richness of it, I see God planning, God strategizing, and God manifesting. In the creation of man, man was not the first to be created, but everything else was created, then man. There was a plan, a strategy, and a manifestation. It goes for family planning, it goes for everything. If you're building an edifice, you're starting a company, you must have the vision, the realization that, ooh, I can do this. That is, ooh, your eyes open. But after that, you must have a plan. And you must be critical in your planning, and we must strategize. We must strategize. You would notice, as I would do, that in athletics, especially in track and field, but in the tracks, the people who run the 4x100 relay, like the great Jamaican team, Bolt, Powell, and people like that, there are 4 people, and they're going to compete for a gold medal. Now, the coach knows that amongst those 4, there is one who is very good at starting. All of them are good, but there is one that's just good at starting. He's able to pick himself up and maybe hit speeds of 9.8 seconds in less than 2-3 seconds. He's able to go. And then he has to hand over to a number 2 who is able to build up on what number 1 started with. So number 2 is not number 1, and he maintains that momentum and maybe even increases it to number 3, and of course number 4 takes it all the way home. They are all good, but there is a strategy. There is a strategy that's used in any sport, in soccer, in yachting. Sometimes you find the coach makes a change and everybody shouts at the stand, why did he bring this boy in? And in less than 5 minutes, that boy scores. The same people who were shouting against the coach start hailing the coach, because the coach is strategic in his thinking. He is seeing what we, the onlookers, are not seeing, because it's his game, and every coach knows that his life hangs upon that particular game. I think it's one of the worst jobs you can take, really. And so